In mobile technology, it's the same story every single time. The media goes crazy over every hot new device, and after that review period wears off, so does the buzz behind that new toy you might still want to buy, but that now faces new competition. In the real world, things shouldn't be that way. For most of us, aging is just as important as the moment you unbox your product for the first time. It's how that device performs after extensive use that really matters down the line. So let's do something about it. Let's take a second look at one of the best-selling smartphones of the year at its first inflection point ever. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and this is iPhone 6s After the Buzz. For nearly 6 consecutive years, an iPhone has always been one of my two phones I carry. Thin and light serves a purpose for me, as it allows the bulkier Android phone to blend better with the thinner iPhone in my pocket. In the past, the Android would be my secondary phone I would carry, but for the first time ever in 2016, the iPhone has actually been relegated to that title, and there are a ton of reasons for that. I can't say that it has anything to do with hardware. If anything, this iPhone is probably one of the sturdiest phones I've had. 2 falls into tile and concrete have left some scuffs on the borders, but I was expecting a lot more damage after I picked it up, proving that the 7000 series aluminum is quite strong. These falls actually compelled me to buy the Apple leather case, which may not have aged gracefully after months of use, but does the best job I've seen in not permanently smudging the aluminum with lint marks. The display hasn't really aged too well though. Scratches are very evident, and I stand by my theory that Apple's oleophobic coating wears off after 3 months of use, making the phone a horrible smudge magnet. And then there's the case of this IPS LCD display that's very good in accuracy, but clearly dated by competitors in things like color reproduction of blacks and viewing angles from the bottom, things that just shouldn't exist on a phone this expensive. In the software department, iOS has also been a mixed bag of the same and the different. The major selling point for the iPhone 6s was 3D Touch, adding quick shortcuts through a peak when soft-pressed and through a pop when hard-pressed. The Taptic engine built within even contributes to tactile feedback when you do, making the feature cool to call upon every now and then. The problem is that after months of using the iPhone 6s, I'm not ashamed to say that I barely use it. The inconsistency of applications that support it is really annoying, and that includes Apple's native applications. And then there's the slow adoption rate by third-party developers. But to make matters less enticing, my biggest complaint over time is the fact that I really can't customize this feature. If I can't really set my own shortcuts, it kind of defeats the purpose. Instead of giving me 4 arbitrary options when peeking through the camera application that I don't really care about, I'd love to be able to edit these at my own choice. A lot of these complaints of 3D Touch are actually addressed with iOS 10, hence the reason why my primary driver is currently running the beta. Applications that are already enhanced now provide a very useful preview into the widgets of the application. These are still not user customizable, but do provide a compelling reason to remember that 3D Touch is there. Now, gimmicks aside, using an iPhone as your daily driver is still a delight. Features like Touch ID continue to be so fast that you really don't even have a chance to view your notifications. But again, iOS 10 addresses this by allowing you to lift the phone and seeing these before you unlock the device and then pressing to hold the home button. Now, one of my favorite features has to be Hey Siri, reminding us of the Moto X. The A9 chip allows the service to wake from standby, and voice training allows it to be very reliable to only work with your device. It continues to be my go-to service for setting up appointments on the go and reminders. And then there are the features that lock you within iOS, like continuity, which I constantly depend on for starting browsing things on the phone and then moving to the iPad or the Mac. And as dual-core as the A9 chip may be, this phone continues to be a beast in graphics performance with games. It also has one of the loudest earpiece and speakers that you can find, in addition to continuing the iPod legacy of high-quality audio through the headphone jack, making it one of my favorite phones when on the subway. Now, the two main reasons for me to move away from the iPhone as my daily driver have to be, one, battery life, because no matter how you use it, the 6S scratches the bare minimum of decency, leaving you scrambling for a charger at the end of the day, no matter what software version you're using. The second, believe it or not, the camera. I love taking photos, and by no means am I saying that the camera on the iPhone is bad. On the contrary, this is actually a very accurate camera when it comes to color reproduction, and even without optical limit stabilization, I've taken photos while running with the 6S, and never have I found myself with a moved photo. In my opinion, the main problem with this camera is really competing devices, mainly because the resulting photos from the iPhone tend to be dull, or not as great in low light. Even with the boost in megapixels, the selfie shooter is okay, with the most atrocious field of view, mainly for video. And then when it comes to 4K video on the camera is great, but then the stabilization from competing devices, again, just dwarfs what the iPhone can do. And I guess that by now you may already understand where I'm headed with these conclusions. At a minimum usable price of $750, because buying the 16GB model is a horrible mistake, the iPhone 6S is really a tough sell. Heck, I don't even have to prove that. The phone has really marked Apple's first decline in iPhone sales in history, and that has to be for a reason. It's not a bad phone by any means for those of you looking for the best and most reliable experience when it comes to the basics, but it's not like if you can't get enough basic experience from devices like the OnePlus 3 at half the price, or a more powerful experience from devices like the HTC 10 or the Samsung Galaxy S7 for about $100 less. It's clear that the iPhone 6S has marked a strong inflection point for Apple, and it's come to the point where this would be the first time that I'd recommend you skip this model of the iPhone and wait to see what happens in September. Folks, just like in the case of this, we've got a ton of After the Buzz episodes, so make sure you follow us on social media and hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. You can also catch our videos on vessel.com/Pocketnow, and follow me on Twitter, Jaime_Rivera, or on Instagram at Jaime Rivera. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I am Jaime Rivera. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.